Well, howdy, physics sleuths and inquisitive souls, and welcome again to Dynamic Gravity. So, what you just saw was my latest experimental attempts to create a gravnetic field and have some sort of measurable effect. The odds are against this for numerous factors, which we'll get into. But I did discover something that I thought was at least interesting enough to share this failed experiment with you. Um, so let's dig into it and see where this rabbit hole leads. First, though, as always, we have to get lit. Got a little bit of root beer because sometimes normal beer just ain't enough. Sometimes what you need, man, is some white shark. Oh, yes, 100% sugarcane distilled, the greatest liquor ever, so it is said. They say that white shark has your back, man. Don't worry. White Shark is not swimming behind you because he's about to take a bite out of you because you're not looking. No, no, man. He's got your back. From the dolphins, the real menace of the seas, White Shark. Alrighty. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Alright. So, in our experiment, what I believe is probably the best way to test out a gravnetic field based upon cheap electronics, because I'm not rich, I don't have money really, is using rarefied gas. And rarefied gas is just simply, I've gone into this before, bear with me for 1 second, I won't go too deep. It's just basically if you get a noble gas or even hydrogen, key there, what I like to use. In the electric field, the energy dispensed will excite the atoms, and because it's rarefied, they have a lot more space and they can expand out and perform more chemical events. And the electrons will become fluid and move around, and then you'll have just protons if it's hydrogen, or if it's something else like xenon or whatever, then you'll have like a positive cation. Positively charged ion, which is also not bad either. But I do believe if you're trying to get a maximum positive charge, you just want to have pure protons. So hydrogen is what I definitely like to use the most. But I try them all because you never know. But yeah, you see it glows, and it's glowing because what's going on here is let's go. I'm getting all discombobulated. This is our old lesson on magnetic fields. If you don't know how those work, watch my lecture. Now you will. Okay. So, as always, in dynamic gravity, we start with the electron. And an electron doesn't like itself, it hates itself, it doesn't want to be alone, so it's going to be in the presence of an up quark. An up quark is going to eat that electron. And now what you have is a down quark. Boop, 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 beep, bop, down quark. Well, the down quark still doesn't neutralize the charge of the electron enough. It's got too much charge. So then you get two more up quarks that attach to this down quark. Boop, beep, bop, 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 boop, beep, beep, bop. And now you have a proton. Two up quarks and one down quark that is eaten or is attached to an electron. And what this does is electrons will come along and they'll be attracted to this positive charge of all of these quarks. But the quarks are already kind of satisfied with this electron, and this electron is going to be pushing back against this electron. So I know there was a huge trying to figure out why electrons don't crash into protons in the atom. And so they've been at quantum mechanics and say, well, I guess energy is in discrete packets and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Maybe. I'm still on the fence. I haven't decided yet whether photons can be divided or not, or whether they are truly an indivisible packet of energy. But I know this. Once again, quantum mechanics based upon legit math, fails miserably to explain the world. And if you take it seriously, you'll go insane because it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. No, the real reason why the electron doesn't crash into the proton is not quantum mechanics. Sorry, it's not. It's because there are 4 charges in the proton, 1 negative and 3 positive. And that just leads to a situation where the electron wants to be attracted to this proton, but it doesn't want to touch it all the way. I have a video explaining this and magnets and magnet video. Take a look if you still don't get it. It's the way it is. So, us delete this. So, when say hydrogen is in the presence of electric field, like in rarefied gas in a tublet, it's got plenty of room for this electron to not be compressed by other atoms. So when it gets energized, it will gladly break away entirely from this proton and move on around to other ones and bounce around trying to find the lowest energy state. And while it's doing that, even though it's only for the briefest of moments or seconds or milliseconds, nanoseconds, you will have an unpaired proton, which is exactly what we want if we're going to create gravity. It's very hard to get unpaired protons. The universe does not like it. Unpaired protons don't like themselves. They want to be with electrons, or they feel that they have no purpose in life. So, it's always boop, 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 bouncing around, and the proton, and while it's doing that, it's reattaching the proton. This is emitting all various frequencies of electromagnetic radiation, light waves, blah, 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 and you get visible light emitted, which is why this is going on. But keep in mind, this is a sign that we know that we at least got some ionization going on here, which is good to do experiments with gravity, or if we have hydrogen, protium, we might even have just pure protons themselves, which would be optimal. So, what I was doing in the experiment is I have 2 Tesla coils, okay? I got like one right here, boop, beep, bop, 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 boop. And I got another one right here, beep, bop, bop, boop, bop. And in between these 2 Tesla coils, to maximize the electric field that I am enveloping in my rarefied gas module, tublet, I'm sticking the gas right in between them. And it lights up, sending off all kinds of frequencies and blah, blah, blah. So I stuck this tube on a, what is it called? A drill bit. So now it's rotating. It, the drill bit only goes up to like, I don't know, 1800, 2000 RPMs. Fairly low, but, enough that it gets some action going on. As it's spinning, what we've learned in previous lessons is that when you have protons or neutrinos that are spinning around, you're making a gravnetic field. Okay, that is happening. And gravnetic fields are essentially like a magnet, electromagnet for gravity, for creating a gravity field. And who knows what other effects would definitely accompany that. I guarantee there'd be something else that comes along with that even I can't predict. So, I'm trying to make a gravnetic field by spinning this rarefied gas that's energized at 2,000 RPMs in the presence of 2 Tesla coils. And I am definitely getting some stuff happening. I have another module of rarefied hydrogen that's also in between these that I'm playing around with, that I am, energizing, and seeing the playback between the two. And there's definitely some forces going on, but you got to remember there's also magnets. I've magnetized this bit, just to see if it helps it or not. And there is definitely some forces, but I can't be certain if it's not magnets, electromagnetic force, or electric force, or even, the air coming out of this drill as it's going. It's got vent holes, and there's air pressure that builds up and shoots out that's going to be affecting everything. So unless this is done pretty much in a vacuum, with zero magnetic fields, it's going to be really hard to prove that there's any legitimate gravitational force that's being created. And this gets even worse. This is really not a good way to try and play with gravity, because there's various reasons. Like I said, you have all these interference that could come here. The rarefied gas typically is zero point 0.1 atmosphere is what is is where they go. 1 atmosphere being what we have here on Earth, at sea level. So even though it's 90% vacuum and there is some gas in there, there's really not a whole lot. And on top of that, it's gas. It's gas molecules that are, not very solid, like compared to a liquid or a solid. They're compressed, so you have a lot going on there if you were to spin it around. So you have a weak start, and it gets even weaker from that point when you get it into rarefied gas. And then you have all these additional tertiary effects that are kicking in. Yeah, basically, so far, I've been unable to see anything that I would call effects from a gravitational field or a gravimetric field that I could somehow prove that or allude to that scientifically or with reason. So unfortunately, I'm not sure how much further I can go with these experiments, because I just can't get this gravimetric field spinning up fast enough to really get a true thing. Because keep in mind, we're going 2,000 RPMs max, probably more like 1,800 at full speed. Well, the speed of an electromagnet, when electrons go through wire, they go at about 1% the speed of light, close to the fine structure ratio constant, which I've also kind of nodded to and alluded to in previous videos, is that's pretty much the speed limit for electrons in the presence of a protonic field or even a gravitational field, because a gravitational field is essentially just a displaced protonic field according to dynamic gravity. So electrons are capped. They can't go very fast, but they absolutely would go the speed of light if they were not in any gravitational field or being affected by any protons or anything. They absolutely could go the speed of light, just like neutrinos do. They're the same particles, or leptons. They're just polar opposites, effectively, of each other. And that leads to a whole slew of differences that I alluded to in my neutrino video, if you want to take a look at that. So, but my point is, though, 1% of the speed of light, which is, 300,000 kilometers a second, is still really, really fast, especially when you're comparing it to a drill bit or a rarefied module that's spinning, it's say 1,800, rotations per minute, which is essentially frozen in time when you're comparing it to just the speeds of electrons, traveling through. And then apparently, I wasn't too up on this, but apparently they're saying there's two types of kind of electrical discharge, like one that travels at the speed of light, or 90% of the speed of light, like an electromagnetic wave as it's being guided by a conductor, versus actual electron creep or whatever being pushed along through mechanical forces, which is, like I say, going to be capped at around 1% the speed of light, or 1 over 127 fine structure constant. I mean, it's going to go up or down depending on how much is being affected by the field, how close it is to protons, protonic activity. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So just to let you know, when you have like an electric, magnet, these electrons that are coming in here, I mean, they're traveling at, at least like 1% the speed of light. So when you get a magnetic field You have a lot of electrons that are whizzing through this, and they're going extremely fast. That's what I'm trying to replicate. I'm trying to get a lot of protons in my experiment going in a circle very fast. And it is really hard to do. I mean, look at the Large Hadron Collider in CERN. They effectively do what I want to do. Only difference is they only do it's like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 protons go. And yeah, they're getting them pretty fast, like almost the speed of light. So you would think maybe if they were looking for certain things, they might be able to see some certain events that could happen, but who knows, man? This stuff, we're so deep down a rabbit hole, it's never even been seen before. Who knows what's coming at us next? But yeah, they're not spinning that many protons around, and they are going very fast. I would love to see what happens when you spin like cajillions and cajillions of protons going almost the speed of light in a very small circle. I'd like to see what those effects look like. I'll bet you get something very odd that starts popping up, proving there's gravnetic fields. So, basically, this experiment has been a failure in all regards except for one. Uh, I was playing around as I always do, just trying to figure out and discover things. And I figured out that every time I fired up my gravnetic field, uh, my Wi-Fi or my Bluetooth speakers would go out. So I started realizing, okay, there's some sort of disturbance, electrical radiation disturbance, jamming that's going on. Now, for those of you that don't know, I was kind of an electronics god, wizard, whatever title you want to bestow upon people like me. Basically, I know shit about electricity that not many people on the planet do from my training and experience as a 33 whiskey in the military. You might think it's, well, it's a military job, can't be that good. You'd be fucking surprised, mate. You'd be surprised. A year of nonstop MOS training, 6 days a week, 9 hours a day, nothing but electronic theory, clock, freaking AC, DC, freaking resistors, freaking diodes, freaking everything, how everything works, how electrons travel through everything on a subatomic level, and then having to, build these circuits ourselves and understand everything. Yeah, I know things that a lot of people don't. There's a lot of probably electrical engineers that are on my level, definitely. There's a lot of people that think they are that aren't even close. So be careful when you say I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so one of the things I did, though, that I worked on was a system called Warlock and the military. All right. What Warlock is Warlock is a bomb jammer. All right. We had these, and I worked on these in Iraq before I got blown up. This right here is the Warlock system. This antenna, right? This antenna. Okay. These antennas are the Warlock system. And what it does is it's looking for any signal whatsoever. And when it finds anything, it will just pump out all programmed frequencies that it thinks it could be viable, like bomb frequencies, remote frequencies for like door openers, whatever, doorbell ringers, anything common, it's going to jam all of those. And then it's going to pump out all different frequencies from all different things. So basically what happens is if you're trying to blow me up with a remote device that's wireless, as you click on it, it's going to see this and just jam everything, or it could just go straight up all the time. It happened a lot of times. We just set it in active mode, and it's just jamming everything constantly. We're driving by, people are yelling at us because their phones just died and they're on a very important call, whatever. It jams everything, cell phones, everything. And it does about like a shotgun, right? And so it's basically whatever antenna is trying to receive the signal, it's just going to bombard it with a bunch of photons that are the wrong thing. They're going to confuse it and lock it up and seize it up so it can't get any good signals. And your electronic device is just waiting for the right signal. It just sees noise, just random noise, and it can't make up heads or tails, even though you could be like 10 feet away clicking a button, click, 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 and it's just not going to blow up. It's just not. Not until the Warlock gets turned off. That's just the way it goes. So I have a lot of experience with jamming, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm well aware of a jammer when I see one. And I created a jammer. And at first I was impressed by this. I'm like, wow, so maybe a Gravnetic field has jamming capabilities for normal, Wi-Fi remote receivers. That would be interesting. That would be something. But being the good scientist I did, I tested out all avenues, and I took off the module, my rarefied gas module off the thing, as you see at the end of the video that I showed you. And then I did just the drill with the bit, nothing else. And it still created the interference and jamming signal, which shut down my Bluetooth speaker. Sorry if the sound wasn't that great, but the experiment's kind of a failure anyway, so who cares? You just take my word for it. It jammed, it 100% jammed the Bluetooth speaker. It was playing a binaural beat. And then as soon as I start spinning it up, it goes off. It goes silent. And as soon as I stop spinning, the binaural beat comes back. So that is essentially what happened. Is I inadvertently created a very powerful and effective jamming system, which maybe the military could be interested in. I mean, if it's just a little tube and a 1800 RPM drill bit, and I'm able to create a omnidirectional jamming frequency that jams all Bluetooth and Wi-Fi within, I think it was about 10 feet is what I got. Everything within 10 feet was pretty much getting jammed. Beyond 10 feet, it started to recover, but within 10 feet, everything was jammed pretty well. So, I don't know, maybe someone else that's looking to create active jammers can use this technology. Just simply spin, I guess, a bunch of metal, might have to be magnetized, and test a coil's electric field, and bam, you're just going to create a ton of electromagnetic radiation, radio waves, this, that, whatever. They're going to jam any wireless signals. I think that's very interesting in a lot of ways, but it's not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to abandon this project. And you might think, well, this whole endeavor is just a waste of time. Then all I did was create a new way to jam. Maybe not even new. Someone probably has figured it out before. It's probably not widely publicized for whatever reason. But as you saw in the video, I was playing with ways to try and shield this jamming frequency, and I actually put a plasma ball in between its path and seeing if it would have any sort of effect, any shielding capabilities, and it did not. To my surprise, it had zero. It just went right through it like it was nothing. But this got me thinking on plasma balls. They are essentially kind of a Tesla coil creating plasma arcs, which is essentially what's going on, which is being created in the rarefied gas, because it's also a rarefied atmosphere, probably about 0.1 atmosphere, just like the rarefied gas tube. That's how you get the plasma jetless and going and everything. But it's already in a vacuum chamber, protected essentially. So, yeah. We're going to have to go into this more on another episode. I've got a little bit of work to do, and let's just leave it at this rabbit hole may not have led where I wanted it to lead, but I do firmly believe it is leading to me in a direction that will be beneficial for dynamic gravity. So, on that, I will bid you adieu. And until the flip side, I'll give you a full rundown of my digging into this whole thing, and we'll see where this leads. Adios, muchachos. Till next time. Like Shark's got your back.
Like, subscribe, submit.